Personally, I'm all up for change, but maybe that's the Sagittarius rising in me. Hi there, I'm Samaj, and this is Creating with Samaj, and every day we show up for 15 minutes to paint together, maybe 20 minutes. And if you're ready, I'm ready. We have our Canson XL and our praying oval, and let's go ahead and spritz our paint up. So some things are going to be changing here on the channel. I have decided that I've gone ahead and turned off the comments because, I don't really need feedback. I haven't gotten any feedback, so I think that I take that back. I've had a few people comment on a few things, but it wasn't about my artwork that I wanted them to comment on. I wanted to hear about their experience of creating art. And one person did share, one of the subscribers shared that this process has opened them up to creating some art through drawing, and they have enjoyed that experience. And so I thought that was wonderful that they were opened up in that manner, and they're starting to do some drawing on their own and creating. But I'm not a braggadocious type of person. I am not a competitive type of person. I am a person who just shows up, and if you like what I do, great, and if you don't, that's okay. I am not bothered by that. And I'd like to have conversation here that really causes you to maybe be upset with what I say, or really ponder why I said what I said. I think conversation is something that's lost, and I find that today so many people on social media spend more time doom scrolling than actually doing. So my purpose for being here is not to doom scroll, but to maybe have you and I to have 15 minutes together that we can just create and we can paint. And you can have something at the end of this year. Maybe if you've done painting, drawing, whatever your creative process is with me, at the end of the year you'll have 365 pieces of art that you've created, solely you. And I think that's a pretty magnificent thing. And we need to embrace that, and I think we need to do more of that. I personally think if everyone gets into the mode of some level of artistic expression, it's going to be what's going to heal the majority of the world. There's a lot of pain and suffering out there. There's a lot of trauma out there. And I believe artwork releases trauma. It allows you to get in touch with parts of yourself that you may not have known that needed to be expressed, talked about. And art can be a safe place because other people can put their narrative or whatever narrative they need to put into without having a background story. So I think art is the most beautiful nonverbal way to communicate. Even though I'm talking to you here, I'm here expressing, making myself accountable for a year of practice, hopefully engaging you in some sort of practice as well, because I want you to grow and expand and see what your capable and possible potential is and what you can do. Because I think that's an exciting thing to see. I think our potential and what we are capable of is always a beautiful thing to see. That was the closest thing I had to clean up. And it left some fur things, and I'll get those off when they dry. Because you know what? Never care. I'm not here about creating a work of art. I'm just here creating, and the whole idea of doing the little coloring book thing has just been so joyful. And that's what I have done. So a little story time. I recently went to an event that was sponsored through someone who was associated with COSM. And if you don't know what COSM is, I will leave a link in it below. Oh, which is funny about this paper. So on the front of this book, and I'll show you at the end, it has a little mushroom on it with an X symbol on it. So one of the things that's funny about COSM is that COSM was started by Alex and Allison Gray, who are known for being psychedelic artists, having done psychedelics and then created artwork from that space of being under the influence of psychedelics and then having the experience and then either painting in the experience or coming back from the experience and painting what the experience is. Anyway, it's an incredible thing that they do, and their art form is beautiful. And where was I going with that? Oh, all right, so the story time. I met someone through COSM because while I was there, we were talking in a group about, you know how some people just, you can be the person who has the ideas, but your idea is always overlooked, but someone else in the same room can present the same idea and everybody thinks it's just phenomenal, and then you suddenly look around and you're like, wasn't that my idea? And it's as if you don't exist. So this person had suggested to me that they were doing a workshop on this framework, which is called human design, and that's why I brought that up first. So human design is this ideology that comes from 16 different frameworks of belief system worldwide that kind of give you the blueprint of who you were before you came into this world. So they asked me to come to this workshop, and in this workshop they were going to have each one of the types of people being represented by a coach who would take and have breakout sessions with people who may fall into a category. So the category that I fall into is a 2-4 projector. And if anybody knows anything about human design, that means that I am a hermit opportunist. And so when I went to this workshop and they broke us out into the groups, I was suddenly had a better realization about what I already knew about myself and why people respond to me the way they do. So all of my life, the entirety of my life, I have always been very good at things. I'm just naturally good at things. And majority of that good things, everything that I do, there are things that I am not good at, right? There are just some things that you're not good at. I'm not good at fixing cars, right? Maybe if somebody showed me how to fix a car, I could probably do a hell of a job. And I would probably enjoy it. However, that's not something I do. On electrical, not something that interests me. I'm kind of fearful of electricity for some reason. Don't know why. Neither here nor there. The point of that conversation is that there are things that we naturally gravitate to and things that we don't gravitate to naturally. So in this human design, part of it is that I am all up for helping you if you need help, if you need answers, if you need me to give you a presentation, if you need me to do something, help you in some way, I'm right there for you. And it's not necessarily to benefit me. If it's a bigger cause than me, if it's for a greater cause than me, if it's for a world cause, if it's for a bigger thing, I'm all in. If it's about me, for me, or to support like just an individual or something like that, yeah, not so much me. So that is the opportunist in me. But the other side of me in this conversation is the hermit, which is totally fine being by myself, not engaged, don't have to be out into the world. And that made sense when I stepped away from social media about 5 years ago. I was very involved in social media and was trying to create a name for myself. And I just decided, I don't need that. I don't need that. That is not who I am as a person, and being in that environment was very difficult for me. So I decided to step away. And the thing that was difficult about it is the same judgment from my childhood, from me being naturally good at things and people being bothered by that, started showing up in comments and people saying things about me that were completely unnecessary, don't know me, don't know anything about me. And just because I don't have to have everything perfect and have to show up with everything in perfection mode before I jump in, if you can't do that, that's not my fault. If you don't have the desire to challenge yourself in new ways and to expand yourself, that's not my fault. And if you're angry at yourself about that, don't project that out on me. And that's just persistently what I kept finding was happening, and I'm not down with that, because I'm just not down with that. So after going to this workshop, which was a couple of weeks ago, I've really been thinking about it and really contemplating what I was going to do. So I've decided that just stepping into this new year, I've already turned off the comments for the new year. I don't think it's important to have any comments. I've left the comments up on the old portions from November, but moving forward, comments aren't that important or necessary for me. I don't need to be engaged in that. I would rather have you sit with yourself and ask yourself questions as I pose things in the weeks to come, and we might have conversation on philosophy or ideas and thoughts about creation, but an actual feedback either about the work that I create, that isn't important, nor is it necessary. I want to tell you, I really appreciate all of you that have subscribed. I'm also moving forward not going to do all of the stuff with the editing. I'm just going to post this straight up as it is. It is what it is. I don't need to invest all that time in doing this. If it's not polished and beautiful for everyone, okay. I'm sorry. Not sorry. I have other things to do in my life and other things to focus on. I'm just wanting to be here with you so we can paint and create together for a few minutes and have some fun seeing what shows up and seeing what we're capable of and what we can make in whatever we're making, because making is fun. Which reminds me of that, there's a person on Instagram that I see who has this little bird that sings, baking pancakes, making baking pancakes. That's what that just made me think of. She's a little, I don't know, maybe she's a parrotlet. Maybe that's what she is. Her name is Augie. She's really cute. So fun to see all the creators and everyone that's out there creating. But I wonder, what are you creating? That's what I always wonder. What are you creating in your life? Are you creating memories? Are you creating experiences? Are you creating opportunities for yourself? Are you trying new things? Are you branching out? Are you meeting new people? What are you doing for you? I think 2025 is all about us reinvesting in ourselves. We've spent so much time being distracted away from who we are, and I think 2025 is really going to be about getting back to the root of who we are, what's important to you as a person, what do you like, what are your goals, who do you want to become. There's still time. Even at 60, I realize there's still time for me to have dreams and desires. You think you reach a certain age and that's not available anymore, but that's only not available if you stop doing it. So that's where I am with that. I think this just needs a couple of trees up here. See what happens with that. If anything happens with that. for spending time with me today. It's always a joy hanging out with you, seeing what we can create together. I'm going to dry this a bit because I put that extra paint on it. You know, I talk a lot about listening to the outside noise, and I think too many people spend too much time listening to all the noise on the outside rather than tuning in to your own heart and your own desires. If we do a little thing every single day for change in our life, at the end of the year we'll have big changes that all add up. I know that because if you put a vessel underneath the dripping faucet and that vessel doesn't have a hole in it, eventually that vessel is going to fill with that water from that dripping faucet. And I think the same way about the little things that we do every day, the little changes we can make. There is a great book that is entitled Atomic Habits, and they speak about that, about doing little things, little changes every day. Ta-da! To make a big difference. That's because those needed to be right there. That's what those needed to be. They needed to be little things right there. That's why that dropped like that. See, you just have to go with why that happened. Maybe just do a little more inking on your little watercolor coloring book. You know, every artist has a season of things that they do. And this may be a completely rambled and all over the place session, but that's okay. My season right now is a season of expressing through line drawing and then filling it in as if it's my own coloring book, because I honestly don't remember doing this as a kid. Coloring, having creative playtime. I was a very apparently messy child with things, and so I got chastised a lot and punished a lot for being messy. And, you know, when that happens, you just stop doing things because the punishment isn't worth the play. And over time, I realized that people did that because the things that I did, I was good at, and they didn't understand why I was good at for the age that I was, and then they didn't know what to do with me. I realized that people were intimidated by me, even as a child, and I know that might sound braggadocious, but that's just something I've realized over my years, my 60 years of existence. So that's enough talk for today. You know, it's always a pleasure hanging out with you, just being here, showing up for our 20 minutes that we show up, painting, creating together. Oh. Why is that not coming off? There's always, you know, some level of episode that occurs, like a paint tape removal. But it is refreshing when you have, okay, some line for a frame, and not all the frame shows up. That's okay too. I don't stress about things. I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I don't know if I finished the whole discussion, but you know what? If I didn't, I didn't, and I'm not going to worry about it. Or I trust you have the most amazing day. Until then.